Today we have this 2000 Honda Accord here, and it's experienced some noise with the wheel bearings hub assembly. And the way I diagnosed this problem was the customer came to me with a wheel bearing issue, and they thought it was the front, but actually it turned out to be the rear. And the way that I found out which one it was is if you take this and you spin it, you can actually hear it growling. And this is with no weight on the vehicle. And if it's growling at this, in this position like this, then you know it's definitely bad. And it shouldn't just be spinning like that this long. It'll just keep spinning. That means the bearing's loose and it's worn out. So we're gonna replace it. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that. Okay, the first step in this repair is to jack up the car and get it on jack stands so that it's secure and safe. Then the first step, we're gonna remove the tire. The next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take off this brake caliper. And the first step is I would like to remove this bracket that holds this brake line so I have some more play in it so I can locate it to another position out of the way. Next, remove the two caliper bolts. Once you get your caliper removed, it's a good idea to take some wire or something so you can support it so all the stress is not on the brake line. There we go. Once you get to this point with the caliper removed, you can confirm your bad wheel bearing by the way it sounds when you spin it. If it sounds like that, you definitely have a bad one. The next step is I gotta remove this dust shield off this hub assembly so I can get to the axle nut. And the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna take a small chisel and get it in between there and just tap it, constantly going around so I don't damage it and I'll be able to reuse it. In order to get this axle nut off the spindle, it's staked there. What you have to do is you have to unstake it so you'll be able to spin it off. If you have an impact and you want to risk it, you can just put the impact on it and zip it off like that. It'll unstake by itself, but I prefer doing this way. It's real common when you're replacing these hub assemblies on the rear that the inner bearing race stays on the spindle, and you're going to have to remove that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this dust shield to gain some access to the rear of it. I'm going to put a bearing splitter on it and pull it off. I'm going to show you how to do that. Having a little difficulty with this little 10mm headed bolt here. It's rounded, and the socket, the 6-point socket, is actually just slipping on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'll take this special bolt extractor, and I'm just gonna tap it on there and back it off with the ratchet. Once you break it loose, you can just back it off again. Just like that. Okay, next I gotta remove this inner bearing race. The method that I'm gonna use to remove this inner bearing race is I'm just gonna see if I can just walk it out with a chisel. And if I have luck with that, I won't have to use a bearing splitter. So we'll see. I was just taking a look at this inner bearing race, and I noticed that it has some really bad marks on it. If you get a close-up of that, you can see that's where all that noise was coming from. It's supposed to be smooth like this, like it is most of the way around until you get to here. Looks really bad. Before I install a part, I want to verify that it looks like it's the right part. So I place them side by side and make sure it looks about the same height. The inner diameters look about the same. It's got 5 lugs. Flip it around. Make sure it looks about the same. This is for the ABX ringtone sensor. And it could come with or without. Make sure if you need it that it does come with it. And yeah, it looks like we're good to go.